spent my early childhood in a fairly standard small suburban town in a pretty nice neighbourhood. This is going back about 20 years ago, around 6th grade. My best friend Jacob and I would always hang out, and he would sleep over at my place all the time. But there was always something strange about his dad. Jacob never felt very close to him, and he gave us both the creeps. One night, during a sleepover, we decided to keep an eye on his dad. We didn't suspect anything really bad, but it seemed like some fun to have something to spy on, and like I said, he did actually creep us both out, but we could never figure out what it was. We wanted to see what he was up to late at night. We noticed that he would often be in the garage till around 1 in the morning, but it was always locked whenever we tried to investigate. A couple of times we would even see people visiting him late at night, but we couldn't figure out who they were. We continued to watch his dad for a few weeks, and then one day my friend told me something that made my skin crawl. He said that his dad was standing outside his room that morning and told him that he knew we'd been watching him at night and had asked if we wanted into the garage for something. Jacob said after that he had become more uncomfortable being in the house with his dad. The next day I went over to my friend's house to walk to school with him, but no one answered when I knocked. I looked through the window and called out to my friend, but the house was completely empty. They had moved overnight, just like that, gone, and I never heard from Jacob again. To this day, I still think a lot about what happened to my friend and his dad. It's had this strange effect on me, and I can't work out if I just missed my friend, or if I should have been afraid for his well-being and done something. I can't shake the feeling that something sinister was going on in that house. The thought of his dad knowing that we were watching him still sends shivers down my spine. I never thought that my quiet suburban neighbourhood could turn into a scene from a crime movie. It all started with a spate of robberies that had everyone on edge. Our group of friends was no exception, and we made sure to take extra precautions to keep our homes and families safe. But things took a turn for the worse when the local authorities announced a 48-hour curfew past 8 p.m. It was a surreal experience to see the streets empty and dark, as if we were living in some post-apocalyptic world. We thought we had everything under control, until one night when we were hanging out at my friend's place. We were having a good time watching movies and playing Call of Duty, when we heard a loud noise coming from outside. We all froze, looking at each other with fear in our eyes. We knew that the curfew was in effect, and there shouldn't be anyone outside. But there was no mistaking it. Someone was trying to break in. My friend quickly turned off all the lights, and we moved to the corner of the room, trying to call 911, hoping that whoever was trying to break in would give up and leave us alone, but they didn't. We heard the sound of the door being forced open, and we knew that we were in trouble. We were all about 16 at the time and could handle ourselves okay, but probably not against adults, and we didn't know how many people were there or if they had weapons. We were trapped with no way out. We could hear their footsteps coming closer to the room we were in, and we knew that it was about to get real. But then suddenly, we heard the sound of sirens in the distance. The police had arrived. We could hear the commotion outside as the burglars tried to flee, but the police were too quick for them. They caught them trying to run off around the back, and we were finally safe. We all breathed a sigh of relief, but the fear and adrenaline was still coursing through our veins. We couldn't believe that we had narrowly escaped a dangerous situation, and we were grateful to be alive. The days that followed were filled with news reports about the burglaries and the arrests that had been made. We learned that the criminals had been part of a larger gang that had been targeting suburban neighbourhoods across the city. The incident brought us closer together as friends, and even now whenever it comes up, I can still remember the fear I felt hearing that door being broken open. I would have never expected anything like this to happen in our quiet town. Growing up, I always felt safe walking home from school or going for a jog around the neighbourhood. But that all changed when people started going missing. And as the number of missing persons grew, so did the general unease in the community. I remember the day when one of the missing persons was found after 2 years. It was a postal worker who had spotted her while on his route. He recognised her from a flyer and had called the police to give the location. The town was in shock. How could someone go missing for 2 years and be living right under our noses? The girl was only a year or two younger than me, and they said she had been kept in a tiny room the entire time. I couldn't stop thinking about the other missing people. Were they still alive? Were they being held somewhere like this? It was a terrifying thought. As time passed, the town slowly returned to its normal routine, but there was definitely this weird fear that lingered. We all became more cautious, locking our doors and windows at night and keeping an eye out for anything suspicious. Then, one day, there was a new development. Another missing person had been spotted, this time by a gas station attendant. The police found the car reported to them by the attendant. It had been abandoned by the side of the road just outside of town. They found traces of blood on the seats, along with various items of clothing. The town was on edge again. The thought that there could be more people out there, still missing and trapped somewhere, was too much to bear. It was like a dark cloud had settled over our once peaceful community. Finally, after weeks of searching, they found the suspect's hideout. It was a remote cabin deep in the woods, apparently surrounded by bear traps and other defences, so the police had to approach cautiously, probably concerned he was armed too. People said there was a shootout and the suspect was taken down. The police found 2 missing people inside the cabin, alive but understandably traumatised. The town breathed a collective sigh of relief. The nightmare was finally over, but the scars would linger for a long time to come. Looking back, it's so hard to believe that something like that happened here. It just goes to show that evil can lurk anywhere, even in the most seemingly innocent places.